If we meet our obligations as fathers and parents, even if Washington does its part, we're still going to face difficult challenges in our lives. There will still be days of struggle and days of heartache. The rains will come and the winds will blow. And that's why the final lesson we must learn as fathers is also the greatest gift that we can pass on to our children, the gift of faith and the gift of hope. I'm not talking about an idle hope that is little more than blind optimism or willful ignorance of the promises that we face. I'm talking about hope and faith inside us that insists, despite all the evidence to the contrary, that something better is waiting for us. If we're willing to work for it, if we're willing to fight for it, if we're willing to believe in it. You know, I was answering questions at a town hall meeting in Wisconsin this week, and a young man raised his hand and he says to me, I thought he was going to ask about college tuition or energy or the war in Iraq. Instead, he looks at me very seriously. He's about 20. He says, what does life mean to you? And I have to admit that I wasn't quite prepared for that one. So I was stammering a little bit, and then I stopped and gave it some thought, and I said, you know, when I was a young man, I thought life was all about me. How do I make it in the world? How do I become successful? How do I get the things I want? But now my life revolves around my two little girls. They're not so little anymore. And what I think about is, what kind of world am I leaving them? Are we leaving them a country where there's a huge gap between a few people who are wealthy and a whole bunch of people who are struggling every day? Am I leaving them a country that's still divided by race? A country where, because they're girls, they don't have as much opportunity as boys do? Am I leaving them a country where we're hated around the world because we don't cooperate with other nations? Or are we leaving them a country that's in grave danger because of what's happening to the planet? And what I've realized is that life doesn't count for much unless you're willing to do your small part to leave our children, all of our children, a better world. Even if it's difficult, even if the work seems great, even if we don't get very far in our lifetime. That's our responsibility as fathers and as parents, to try, to hope. We do what we can to build our house upon the sturdiest rock. And for me, that means building that rock, building that house on the foundation of Jesus Christ. Because I'm going to make mistakes, and sometimes it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me as a father. It's going to be hard for me as a husband. It's hard for me as a public servant. But if I can instill in my children that sense that God is looking out for us, that He's going to be there for us during the darkest hour, that He's going to be there for us no matter what happens, no matter what winds blow, then I know that I can succeed, and I know they will succeed. We keep faith that our Father will be there to guide us and watch over us and protect us and lead His children through the darkest storms to the light of a better day. And that's my prayer for all of us here on Father's Day. That's my hope for this country in the years to come. And I hope that all of you feel that same faith, that same possibility that I do. Because if we rise up, if we have faith in the Lord, if we're working hard, if we do what we must do as fathers and as mothers, as grandfathers and grandmothers, if we're looking after our children, then I promise you, better days are ahead. God's going to lead us in the bright direction. God is going to lead us in a better direction. God bless you all. Thank you, Apostolic. I appreciate you. Thank you.